13 minutes now past 8 o'clock. Now, residents of Paris are voting on whether to ban e-scooters. Some people have been complaining they've become a hazard, blocking pavements and putting pedestrians at risk. There are about 15,000 of them for hire in the French capital, and licences for 3 main operators are up for renewal, which is why this vote is taking place now. Let's talk to Richard Adey. He's the CEO of the British e-scooter manufacturer Taur. Good morning to you.
Hi, Sandy.
It's where these things get left, isn't it, that causes the problems. Can we do more to improve that?
Yeah, I mean, this all started in America, and in San Francisco they had exactly the same problem. There has to be legislation and there has to be enforcement. To be clear, though, this is only about rental scooters, and rental scooters are left everywhere because the whole business model works on that basis. Actually, in France, they're not discussing ownership, and ownership is the fastest growing sector in France.
So these are as you say, these are the ones you just grab for that bit of the journey that you want to do, and as you say, people just leave them when they hop off them, literally.
Yeah, and obviously you've got no feeling of responsibility for the vehicle, and people ride them very badly. If it's not your vehicle, you just leave it where you feel like leaving it. And although there is some attempt to try and restrict that, they have this thing called geofencing. It's very difficult to do it in a city. So yes, there's no ownership of the product, and that's why it's become such a big issue. These things will get more and more legislated. The rental side of it, it became a very big business because a lot of private equity money went into this type of business. I mean, it goes back to the whole issues around Silicon Valley Bank and things. The cost of debt was very low, so that's why there are so many of them on the streets of these cities.
Because as and of themselves, they are quite a good solution in many ways to some particularly big city travel problems.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I mean, they use 100th the energy of a large electric car. They're very efficient and they're very well designed, as long as they're designed to be used for ownership and for regular use. But they're a really good idea. I mean, we have a real problem in the UK. That we're always behind on these things. I mean, the French were very early into the sector. They've learnt a lot, but we still don't have any legislation in the UK on electric scooters. And even the electric bikes in London, probably 90% of them are illegal because they're using a hand throttle, so they're actually not pedalling. These are couriers using them mainly.
Do you think it's because we were sort of testing it out and experimenting with it, and it's expanded faster than the experiments have reported back?
No, not particularly. I think it's fine. I don't think there's major issues here. We're discussing, I understand if you're blind or something like that, it's a very serious issue for you. But generally, this is not a problem. I think the problem we have in the UK is that we didn't have legislation. We have this thing called electrically assisted pedal cycle, which means you have to be able to pedal at 5 miles an hour. So there was no legislation. That's why they introduced the rental schemes. They've never introduced ownership, and they kept pushing back the legislation. I mean, we genuinely have a climate emergency here. Some of these decisions just need to be made. At least the French are getting on with it. They're legislating at a national level, and they're doing referendums on what to do in their capital as well.
Richard, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We'll keep an eye on how that vote goes as we say to banning the rental sector for e-scooters. Richard Adey, CEO of the British e-scooter manufacturer Taur.